All right. What ticker am I going to shit on this time? Let's see. AMC. Nah, it's kind of dead. Everybody's sick and tired of it. Wish. Nah, too easy. What's this? Hut 8? What does this do? It's a Bitcoin miner? Okay, I'm going to be frank here. I dislike Bitcoin, but I like the like button and the subscribe button and the comments as well. But, on a serious note though, I dislike Bitcoin for a multitude of reasons. First, let's draw a little history. I've been tracking Bitcoin before it bursted above $100. I kind of lost interest halfway through because of the people in it, and then I came back to it again when I realized that people were starting to take it seriously and everything. But for the most part, the community back then was extremely, extremely idiotic, and I could not stand it because all they were doing was screeching about how you need to secure your wallet .dat file and back it up, because if you lose that wallet file, your all your Bitcoins are going to be gone. And then it became about how you have to keep a cold offline wallet after a certain exchange went down. Then it became something about like how ICOs were the next great thing. And then when those turned out to be a scam, people said you should have read the white papers and stuff like that. Like, honestly, a blockchain powered thing that was going to solve world hunger. Like, how are you going to solve world hunger without actually planting any food? There was an insane amount of people in the space that were operating on nothing but feelings and didn't understand a single thing, which, again, I don't really see much of a difference today. I don't see a reason to take a forward position in Bitcoin personally right now, or any other crypto. And you guys can say enjoy being poor all you want, but there are a few things that will change my mind, and I think Hut 8 kind of addresses most of my concern. Let me give you the short list first, and I'll expand upon it afterwards. First, it gives me exposure to Bitcoin. Second, I don't have to juggle a wallet or any of the security or any of that management. And third, this route actually offers me small forms of protection. All right, so let's tackle the first one. It gives me exposure to Bitcoin. And what I mean by that is essentially these are mining companies that are mining Bitcoin, and they're essentially holding and selling some at the same time, right? So by owning the company, I indirectly own Bitcoin. So I'm going to cross compare this with Mara because that's one other mining company that I did study before. But for Hut 8, they had about 5,400 miners delivered, scheduled to start between February, continuing through June, which we're basically at the end of June now. And after full deployment of these machines, they're expected to reach 1,300 petahashes. And if you guys know anything about Bitcoin mining, it's not about the amount of miners that you have, it's about the hash rate. The arms race is literally the hash rates, because the more hash rates you have, the higher likelihood you are going to solve and find a Bitcoin block. Now, let's compare that to Mara. Mara has about 2,500 miners, generating about 248 petahashes per second. And they also ordered another additional 4,000 miners that are currently being installed and uplined and stuff like that. They also have other orders still coming out from made in China. But if you guys haven't been keeping up with world news, China sort of banned crypto mining in their own home country, citing a whole slew of reasons. But what that did for these companies, though, is that it's one major player in the arms race that's kind of bowed out. So basically anybody else that is in the crypto mining space are currently benefiting from having a major competitor move out of the way. Now, to add an extra layer of scare on top of that, Bitmain also suspended sales of crypto mining machines after Beijing's mining ban. And, I don't know if Mara's already gotten that shipment yet. As far as I can tell, Hut 8's already gotten their shipment, but for Mara, I'm not 100% sure right now. Now, I like to think I read that wrong, in that, this small little mining company out of nowhere has about 3 times the hash rate that Mara has. But when I read some of their filings, like I'm looking at Hut 8's right now, and it says that they mined the equivalents of 539 Bitcoins in the first quarter, versus Mara's, which is about 192 coins minted in the first quarter of 2021. Somebody in the comment section, please tell me I read that wrong. Let's calculate that future projection as if it were now. Like, again, they're not going to be online for everything until August, but let's calculate that now with current conditions. So 1.3 exahashes would mean that they would have about 1.3 million terahashes. In terms of the Bitcoin mining profitability, they're making up to about $250,000 a day, so $250,000 per day, million per week, and about 7.65 million per month. And this is just their Bitcoin profits. Did you know that they also mine Ethereum as well? One thing that initially drew me to Mara was that they focused on the big daddy. they focused on Bitcoin. But for Hut 8, they don't just focus on Bitcoin, they also focus on mining other things, such as Ethereum. Now, with the EIP 1559 coming up pretty soon, from moving from proof of work to proof of stake and everything, they have stated that, yeah, this might be a significant dip in our revenue, but we're going to continue to mine altcoins to just sort of generate some revenue from this. And honestly, I don't 100% know what to make of that. I see it as somewhat of a good diversity because they're trying to mine Ethereum, stuff like that, but because they can't really, it's not really profitable to mine Ethereum anymore, it doesn't not make sense to kind of mine ulterior coins if you're converting that back to Bitcoin or Ethereum. And if you guys couldn't tell, I've added Ethereum to my, I actually like this type of coin list. To expand upon that further, they're mining in Medicine Hat, Alberta, which I believe I read something to where they said that they were going to start capturing waste gas, which I think is basically like natural gas, and utilizing that gas as energy, clean energy, to power some of their Bitcoin miners, which would mean that they would get green energy credits on top of whatever they're making. I don't think Mara has something like that, but someone please tell me. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Mara that does that. Another source of revenue that Hut 8 explores that I don't think Mara really does is that they also provide hosting. And what hosting is essentially is that basically if you have a Bitcoin miner and you can't mine at home for whatever reason, you could send it to them. You'll pay a reduced energy cost as well as a space rental fee, but it's going to be significantly cheaper and more convenient than if you were to mine this at home. Having said that, this leads me to the second point, and I know the first part was very long, but don't worry, these last two parts are fairly quick. But the second part is I don't have to juggle a wallet management or anything like that. By me owning this company, shares in this company, I indirectly own it through them, who then they have to manage the wallets. But here's the thing about that, though. There's a small little nuance to that. They don't actually have self-custody of their own wallets. They actually contract it out to someone called BitGo. This also kind of leans into part 3 as well when I talk about regulation. And BitGo Trust is a South Dakota trust company, which is also seemingly a tax haven, but they're the only regulated qualified custodian purpose-built for digital assets. They have 100% cold storage and bank-grade Class 3 vaults and so forth. But essentially, the bottom line is if they do anything, they're not only going to be in the purview of the SEC, but they're also going to be in the purview of the U.S. government for any sort of financial crimes, so IRS and so forth. So my final thoughts, comments, and stuff that I generally couldn't find a place for in the video were that the first one is that this company, instead of going the easy route and going through a SPAC, they actually did it the hard way. They actually went through all the regulatory processes and scrutinies to get listed on the Nasdaq, which is not an easy feat. They're also listed on the TSX, but no one really cares about them. But getting listed on the Nasdaq, that's kind of like a bit of confidence for them, as well as them getting options, because you can't get that in OTC markets. But another thing is that the company has what's called the Hodl strategy, and the CEO, Jamie, was getting a lot of hindsight hate for not selling her Bitcoin at 60,000 when it was at 60,000 per coin or whatever, right? The CEO's response was something along the lines of, okay, so if you guys think that 60K is the high, that makes absolutely no sense, because with how previous history has taught us, when we thought that 20K was the high and it dropped to half its value at 10K or whatever, everybody thought it was done. But then sure enough, fast forward till now, it hit a high of 60K and then now is settling back down at 30K. What do you think is going to happen going forward when more people start adopting Bitcoin or even start accepting Bitcoin as a payment, which someone like Overstock is doing? And it'd be idiotic to dump off this Bitcoin now because she doesn't think that this is the high. She doesn't think 60K was the high, and she thinks that this pullback is just an extra opportunity for her, which, everybody has their own investment strategies. And in this case, I'm actually more of a firm believer for her, because given the environment and how the Fed is acting with hyperinflation, with printing more money and spending on infrastructure and stuff like that, I'm currently seeing digital currency similar to how that one Simpsons episode where they flooded the town with garbage, and the solution to that, instead of cleaning up the garbage, was to move the town 10 miles down the road. Crypto is essentially their 10 miles down the road town. But with all that said, let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, comment, or anything like that. And just remember, just because you're a day trader doesn't mean you have to trade every single day.